Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
and beer.
and beer.
Yeah.
We're just two crazy Florida men. Oh, wait. God, hold on. Because we didn't do the tagline in the last episode.
Yeah.
So, true crime from the point of view of two crazy Florida men. There we go.
Yep. Crazy.
Might as well get our laughs in now because
this episode is going to be even more.
This is a rough one. You freaking Canadians do your cults. You don't play around with your cults.
No.
I mean, you freaking Anthill Kids. This cult that we're covering. Jeez.
And it's one of a kind too, as far as being covered.
Yeah, I mean there is no other podcast that has covered this, and I want to change that. I'm hoping that once our episode goes out, gets out there, that other podcasts will pick up on it and cover it, and we'll get into that at the end of this episode, because this is a rough one. This might even be the roughest episode we've ever done, which is saying a lot. I mean,
yeah,
it's
I'm gonna try to hold it in or not.
It's Gertrude Baniszewski and Mother Anna's House of Prayer level of rough, and it probably even goes a little bit worse than those two, which is freaking insane. Mm-hmm. But other podcasts, if you're checking this one out, go right ahead. I'm gonna, here in a minute or two, I'm gonna drop my sources, get the book, do it, because the book is apparently the only source that there is on this, and we need to, this story needs to be known.
Yeah, you can't even Google it.
Mm-mm.
Oh, hey there. You like true crime stories, right? Yeah, I know, who doesn't? But I gotta admit, after a while, all those stories of murder and heartache, well, they tend to go straight to my hips. So that's why I, Leroy Luna, have created a podcast called Excuse Me, That's Illegal, where we'll take a hardcore look at some softcore crimes. No TED Talks on Bundy here. The letters BTK won't be coming from these lips. Unless he had a brother that used to steal library books. Suppose I'd be willing to go balls deep into that one if that were the case. Anyways, you'll hear stories such as the Mad Pooper, a female jogger who wreaked havoc in a Colorado Springs neighborhood, using one family's front yard as her own personal dumping grounds. If this kind of content sounds like it's up your alley, Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available right now on all your favorite podcatchers. So come join me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
But anyway, how's it going, Paul?
It's going. It's going. The week is done, and off to the next.
Now I got to work tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah, it sucks.
Man.
But I had some ado planned, but I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Damn.
But you got the big gulp.
I got my big gulp. It's got lemonade in it. But
lemonade. And I decided to go to Bavaria and try a little bit of their Baniszewski or something. Yeah.
You drove all the way there just to try it?
No, my arm's a little tired.
Oh man. So yeah, I had something I was going to start with on this one, but I can't remember what the hell it was. So let's just get into it.
Yeah.
You ready?
Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, it is. And I had a rough time doing putting the notes together on this one.
Yeah,
I really did.
Like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. But what I had done, since we're doing this Canada binge, we're going to finish it off with Willie Pickton. But I wanted some lesser knowns. So Alan Legere, that was kind of known, but not like super well known. Then the Biker War, that's kind of obscure, believe it or not. And then this one, I was just going through Amazon looking, and because I wanted to do a cult, in Canada. And so we did the crimes, we did the killer. Now let's do a cult.
Yeah.
So I found this book, and I was just like, I read the description. I was like, yep, buying it, and and not even having any clue what I was getting myself into.
Was it a Barnes and Noble buy or Amazon buy?
Amazon.
But
by the way, next week was gonna be the the start of the fourth installation of the Canada binge. However, Canada binge got moved, one episode longer because Paul is going to be out of town. So I'm going to come up with a single episode story, and I will have a fill-in co-host. But because I'm not going to start Willie Picton, which is a multi-part episode. I'm not going to start that without Paul.
No, I'll be here for that one. Yes.
So we're going to have 5 Canada stories. So we'll probably wind up being 2 months worth of Canada by the time we get done with Willie Picton.
Yep, we are gonna suck Canada dry.
Yeah, the book I ordered on that one is like 7. That took me damn. That went right over my head and then came back and hit me in the back of the head. The book on that I'm going to be using for the source material for Willie Picton is called On the Farm, and it is like 700 pages long. Yeah,
man, that Stephen King novel there.
Yeah, except it's true.
Yeah.
So, anyway, cult we're covering today is called His Rest Christian Fellowship. And if you Google it, you'll find newsreel footage from a Canadian news station, which we're going to get to, and that's about it. You will find links about His Rest Christian Fellowship in South Africa. That there's no affiliation. They're 2 completely different organizations, and that happens with churches.
Yeah.
There's churches called Faith Assembly that had no idea that a freaking cult used that name back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah, I guess they don't do any research before they name themselves.
Well, Faith Assembly, I've said it before, is not a bad name for a church.
Yeah.
But anyway, July 9th, 1986 at 6 p.m. in Pickering, Ontario, Canada. Police officers in 2 unmarked cars rolled into the driveway of an old stone house with a search warrant. They were there based on the confession of a 19-year-old victim of abuse and torture at the hands of a religious cult. He happened to be the son of the cult leader. Oof. And they were looking for evidence of the claims made by this 19-year-old young man, and he had been raised in this house along with 2 other younger kids. There were 2 houses in question, and the plan was to serve both warrants at the exact same time. That way, one couldn't sound the alarm to the other.
Yeah.
So the cult, His Rest Christian Fellowship, was run by a woman named Rima Dean Ailing and her husband, David. I wish she was ailing. I really do.
Right.
Because I hate this woman.
I'm
not gonna lie. This is,
and if you don't know her now, you will later.
Yeah, this is gonna be a long. And I'm just gonna say there's trigger warnings throughout this episode. And I mean, if I said trigger warning for everything, I'd be saying it every other freaking word.
Do we have a sound bite for the trigger warning?
No, not yet.
How about a heartbeat?
That would get annoying over and over again.
Yeah. How about that one?
There's really only one time when I'm gonna there's really only one time that I'm actually going to give a trigger warning. It's because there's one part that's just next level bad. So, but Rima was said to have been a sadistic and abusive tyrant, and that is an understatement.
Mm.
The sources are the book that I mentioned. It's called In My Mother's Home by David Carter and Brian Ward. David Carter was a police officer on this case, and it damaged him psychologically. He was awarded Police Officer of the Year for his work on this case. And in the book, he leaves out the name of the children, and I did find the names through other research, but I'm going to leave the kids' names out as well, out of respect for them and their privacy.
Yeah.
But the cult leader and this other couple, fuck them.
Mm.
Wait, are we in? Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah. Can't cuss within the first 5 minutes, according to for YouTube. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't cuss on mine, so I'll sometimes. I mean, there's I only have one explicit show, and the F word is thrown out mistakenly by the guest. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna label it explicit.
all of our episodes have that E on them. But in the book, he leaves, and I already said that. Other sources are efootage.com. And they had a news story from CFTO, which is a news station in Toronto, and that news station used the cult leaders' real names and this other couple that we're going to get to. So we are going to use their real names. The kids, no. But the cult leader, yeah. Absolutely, because people need to know who the hell they are. The cult leaders are dead. Spoiler alert. But this other couple, yeah. You need to know who they are. So as they approached, they saw two boys working in a garden. They were skinny and dirty and pale, and the detective introduced a caseworker named Lynn Factor to the boy. He then asked if one of them, a 10-year-old, if he would come with them, and without hesitation, the boy climbed into the car. And that right there is a warning. Yeah, that's right. That right there is a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Kids just, police officers roll up. Want to come with us? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. But you'll find out why. I promise. So they drove away, and the boy began telling his story about what had happened at the hands of his own parents and a self-proclaimed pastor, cult leader, that would shock the region. And that's apparently all it shocked, because nobody else knows about it.
Yeah.
Until now.
Until now.
Well, people that have read the book.
Yeah.
The book's really well written, too. It's a really good read, although it is a very rough read. See what I do for you awesome listeners?
Yeah, we do the research, and we hand you.
We?
You. No, you do. You do a lot of writing. I tell you, that's a lot of writing. I don't know why you're not an investigative journalist by now.
I should be. So Rima and David Ailing would turn themselves in the very next day on multiple charges. They had been on their way back from California the day before, probably at a cult convention.
Mm-hmm. No, they were at the Source restaurant.
I don't know. Probably hanging out with Marcus Wesson. I'm not exaggerating. Well, they weren't, but I'm just saying that, yeah, that's the level that we're on.
Mm.
All of it. Among the charges on Rima were 2 counts of sexual assault, 2 counts of theft, failure to provide the necessities of life, and assault with a weapon. David's charges were failure to provide the necessities of life and assault with a weapon.
Mm.
This boy had been beaten. He had multiple bruises all over him, and he was malnourished. He said that he had never been to public school in his life. He said that he had never had any medical or dental care, and that sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
The cult had many sadistic practices, including cutting people with a knife to exorcise the devil.
Whoa.
Hence the 2 counts of assault with a weapon, among others. A second couple, remember their names because they're still alive.
Yeah.
35-year-old Ralph and 24-year-old Sharon Hayward were charged. Just do the math on that one, okay? The boy's 10 years old. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. The boy was adopted. Never mind. Never mind. The boy was adopted. My bad. Sorry about that. False alarm. But,
which he shouldn't have been. Yeah.
That
wasn't no DCF there.
Well, I mean, but the 35 and 24, there's nothing wrong with that. But if they biologically had a 10-year-old son, then there'd be something wrong with that.
Yeah.
But that, because that would be 25 and 14. Well, 25 and 24 and 13.
Yeah.
So, but no, they was adopted boy. So, okay, never mind. But they did have the boy for the majority of its life. They adopted him as a baby.
Oh.
Which means that they were still together during that time when she was only 13 years old. Because if they had the boy for the entire time of his entire life, pretty much adopted him as a baby, he's 10 years old. That means Sharon is 13 or 14 at the time.
How the hell did that happen?
I don't know. Lots of head scratching in this.
Yeah, very.
So, I mean, maybe they kidnapped him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Rima and David Ayling were released on bail that same day. June 9th, 1986. David Carter and his partner got a phone call from a Toronto children's aid worker saying that they needed to meet with him at a local high school to talk to a 19-year-old student. By the way, we're just going to call the boy Nate, and then this 19-year-old, the boy is named Nathaniel in the book. We're just going to call him Nate, and then this 19-year-old, they call him Ricky in the book, so we'll just call him Ricky. Mm-hmm. His brother is Ron in the book, so we'll just call him Ron.
All right.
But so they said that they needed to meet the police at a local high school to talk to a 19-year-old student. Over the past 2 years, the student had been having behavior problems in school, and he was constantly in trouble, and he was regularly being counseled. This day, June 9th, was the day that he finally told everybody what had been going on with him and what the root of his problems were. This interview was recorded, and so Carter and his partner were obviously blindsided by this, and that's why I'm good with quoting the book as far as all the things that happened, because it came from a recorded police tape.
Yeah.
So Ricky, when he turned 17, he moved in with his father after literally escaping from his mother. His fear during his interview, but his fear during this interview was for the safety of Nate. He didn't care about what had happened to him. He was just concerned with Nate. It's like, Nate's still there, going through the same shit that I'm about to tell you about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looking out for the younger siblings.
Yep. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse. There's your trigger warning. Carter asked when the church had been started. And Ricky said that that it was about 10 years ago. His dad was still with Rima at the time. His dad had left because Rima was obsessing over starting this new church. There were 3 boys: Ricky, his older brother Ron, who had left to become a missionary after leaving to live with his dad. The middle brother, he had also left to live with their dad a couple years earlier as well. So basically, all 3 of their kids were there, and they all 3 got the hell out of there by their own means.
Yeah.
The church was Rima, Ricky, and quote, a whole group of other people. Some had left to go to another location, the other house that I was talking about, when they had run out of room. But when Ricky left there were still 10 people living in that house.
What?
10 people.
10 people.
That's not source level crazy, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
Nate, the hell did I write there? That's all right. Skip it. So most of the adults there had come there as teenagers with drug problems and weak-minded people. I love the fact that Ricky said the weak-minded part.
Yeah.
It makes me think that his dad had some hand in letting him know what was really going on there, even though, at 17 years old he did. It's like, I mean, my dad was kind of like my rock, when I was like 15, when I moved in with him. I mean, he was like always there, just making sure, and so it's just like, that kind of hit me on a personal level too, just because of, his dad, combined with what compared to what my dad had done for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ricky goes on to say that these people were duped into coming there. They needed a place to stay, and gradually his mom would get her claws all into them. And I freaking love this. I love this kid. I love Ricky. He's awesome. He's brave. He's he's not a victim.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with victims, but he's I'm just saying he's not one. It was pitched initially as a boarding house, and Rima would also pick up hitchhikers. She would welcome them in, being nice to them, gaining their trust, their love, and later their devotion. That's called love bombing. But Rima began telling them about God, and that became teaching that God's will resided in her words, which gave way to anything outside of her church was of the devil. That's called isolation. She had also got them so roped in that they would feel guilty if they left. And if they did, they'd be back.
So at this point, it was already a church, right?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, she knew what she wanted to do. This wasn't a case where, like Jim Jones, for example, when he started off, he was a really good person. He just lost his mind later on. This isn't like that. This is somebody who set out with an agenda, saying, I want to dominate people. I want to control people. I want people to follow me.
True narcissist.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, well, there's no such thing as a true narcissist because they're fake people.
Yeah. There's different levels of narcissism.
Yeah, I know. But so,
like, she's 10. Not just 10, probably 11.
Yeah. These go to 11. Ricky even says that she started dictating who should partner up. All the signs of a cult. They're all there. They're all there. He saw the other He saw the way other people lived, and he realized that this wasn't right. But when he was younger, he admits to not really seeing what was really going on, and this hits close to home to me as well. I didn't go through any of this, to this scale that this is, but a lot of it sounds familiar. A lot of it sounds very familiar.
Mhm.
Like there's been 3 things already that sounds familiar, and there's more. If you're new to this podcast, my episodes 10 and 11 are my story of being raised in a cult. So, if you're new to the podcast,
Yeah, check it out.
mm-hmm. So Rima had taken him out of school after 6th grade, and he was having problems with schoolwork, and she figured that she could teach him better. Translation: she was too busy to help him, and realized that he'd be easier to control if he wasn't in school.
Yep.
She banned books for them to read and learn from because they were evil, and he was forbidden to go to the library. Prior to Rima taking him out of school, she made him take his Bible to school and read it to his classmates, and that obviously didn't go over very well.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Kids don't like church.
No,
They don't. I mean, they can grow. Lots of them will grow up to be good Christian, good faithful Christians and everything. But as kids, no kid likes church. No kid likes to sit there and listen to preaching.
exactly.
It's to them, it's just another day of school.
And the thing is too, when she takes the child out of school, I mean, it's throwing up red flags. You take any child out of school, normally the municipality is going to want reasons as to why.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going with an accredited homeschooling program, then I mean they don't like it, but I mean, that there's nothing illegal about that.
No. But nowadays, I mean, the state wants to see proof of everything. Where is the child at all times?
I had my daughter in homeschool. When things went to shit with me and my ex and everything, I had to homeschool her for a little while.
Yeah.
So I mean, and she did well. She was just in homeschool for half of the year last year, and this year she's in regular school again. So
cool.
It was just a had to do it type of thing,
Yeah.
But I can remember growing up, there were a couple of families that homeschooled their kids, and they had lots of kids, and they were all homeschooled. Yeah, that's different. That's cult.
Yeah.
But all of this was bad, obviously. But next, Ricky got into discipline, and they weren't ready for that. The police officers weren't ready for that. Carter talks about how horrified that they were about how Ricky was just talking nonchalantly, like he was talking about anything else, and that's typical of cult survivors. It's what they were made to believe, so it seems normal to them. Yeah. So while the person that's hearing the story is like horrified and blown away, it just the survivor is just talking about it like he was talking about like washing, getting on his bike and going to school, at normal everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Now, back in my story on episode 10 and 11, I was talking like that about everything that had happened to me, and really that was the first time that I had really gone public with it. And Todd was horrified, and I'm just sitting there talking like normal.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of happened on Nora's episodes when she told her story about troubled teen, and Todd was there. Me and her are just talking back and forth like, oh, it's nothing, because once again, Todd's jaw is on the floor. He's like, what? How in the hell can you just sit here and talk about it like it's nothing?
Yeah.
Well, because it was normal. And it really sucks, but that's the truth. That's how it is. There's no way around it. That's how it is. I mean, and I just want to get that out there because, I've heard of people being accused of making things up because of how nonchalantly they're talking about it. It's just, no, that's just how it is.
Yeah. It's because of the experience. When someone actually physically experiences something for a duration of time, it's just
Well,
normal. You can
it's
talk
like
about it.
it's like an abused wife. She gets so used to being abused that it's just it's normal.
Yeah.
To her, and it sucks, but it's true. Same thing with cult survivors, TTI survivors. Same thing with every abuse victims, abuse survivors, stuff like that. Anything. It's going to be, if the person's talking about it, it's going to be normal. Like if they're comfortable with talking about it, it's going to be like they're just discussing what went on in a normal day.
Yeah.
That really sucks, but but that's just how it is.
Yep.
Anyway, somebody told me I should write a book. Put a knife in that. Leave it in for a while because
take that bleed.
Take that however you want it. But Rima's words were the gospel, and there was no questioning it. There's no questioning it. Unless you obeyed, you were punished. Sometimes you were punished even if you did obey. He was beaten. He was locked in his room. He was denied food for extended amounts of time, like days, sometimes even a week.
Oh, shit.
He was made to confess his transgressions on his knees in front of everybody. She would beat him with 2x4s, sticks, wire hangers, her hands, or anything else that she could grab. And if he cried, he'd get it more. If he didn't cry, he'd get it more. I don't know why, but that reminded me of Quint telling his USS Indianapolis story on Jaws. Sometimes the shark go away. Sometimes the shark don't go away.
Yeah.
We covered the Indianapolis too. That was a great episode too, by the way. Our episode on the USS Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do more history because that episode was awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my best to kind of break it up here and there. Whenever I can, because it's rough.
It's gonna get rough.
It already is. It's gonna get a lot worse.
And when it gets worse, when you see my camera go off and hear some expletives in the background, because I don't want people to see my facial expression.
You get a mask.
Yeah.
But
I'm tired.
No, but still, I mean, everybody, anybody who listened to our Gertrude Baniszewski episode knows that Todd frickin' lost it on toward the end of that episode. I'm not knocking him for that. And I said on our Jared Fogle episode that after doing the research on that, I would have found a fill-in for him. Same thing with this one. I would not have had him on this episode.
Yeah.
Because he cannot handle, he literally can't handle things going on with kids, and nothing wrong with that. Some people can handle it, some people can't. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just like to bring attention to that. I'm not knocking Todd or anything like that. It's just, I mean, these things affect people differently.
Yep.
But whatever reaction that he had to the punishment was the wrong reaction. And this happened more and more to Ricky and Nate. The beatings would stop whenever Rima got tired, or whenever Sharon or Ralph got tired, or David, or anybody else. Then she would rest up while regurgitating scripture and twisting it to justify her actions. Like, okay, I'm doing this because you did this, and God says that blah 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 blah. It's your fault, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's people that use the scripture and everything to justify their depravity, if there is a hell, there's probably a special place for people like them.
Yeah, that's a very special place.
Because if you think about it, that's blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
That is the definition laid out by the Bible. That is blasphemy, by using the Bible to say, hey, God says that I have to torture you. God says that I have to that I have to fuck every woman in this cult. God says that, God says this, God said that. God did not say that. That is
Exactly.
freaking blasphemy.
Yeah.
And if anybody says that to you, like in my song, on the cult outro, there's a line that says, if somebody says they're God, then you just tell them farewell.
Yeah. Those are the people that I just wish when they did that, it was immediate.
Just strike them down.
Human combustion.
Yes. Well, dozens of people spontaneously combust each year. It's just not very widely reported on.
Exactly. They just disappear.
Once she rested up, the beatings would continue, and he would have to repent after every session, even if he had already repented for the exact same thing previously. Rinse and repeat. Rima had been messing around with another cult member, David Ailing, at that point, and he became her partner in abuse. At the time, he thought it was normal. At the time, he just thought it was normal spankings and everything. And or Ricky, at the time, Ricky thought it was just normal spankings and everything. Although she never broke him, obviously, because he's sitting there just telling all to the police. He got used to the abuse, like we were talking about before, and after he had tried crying and begging for forgiveness, nothing worked. And after a while, he was more afraid of being locked in his room or starved than he was of getting beaten.
Yeesh.
And it was a roller coaster too. And one day, Ricky and Nate would be like Satan's spawn. The next day, it'd be Rima's little angel. Rima liked the punishment, but she liked humiliation a lot more. She loved making him kneel in front of the other cultists and making him beg for forgiveness for the things that he had done wrong. And he would have to make things up if he didn't beg for forgiveness for something, because otherwise there'd be hell to pay.
Yeah. He didn't know what he was doing wrong. That was the thing. It's like,
right.
What are you doing wrong? How is that wrong? Like,
yeah. One time he was even beaten for wearing normal clothes. Like he came home from he came home in a pair of blue jeans, and that got ripped off of him, and he was beaten for that. And we'll get to that later. So put a knife in that. This might be the wrong episode to use that little thing in. Put a knife. Knives are involved later. But Rima liked for him to be dressed in rags so he would be embarrassed to go out in public. And literally going against Rima was the same as going against God. And if you went against her, you were going against God, and therefore you were going to burn in hell. I hope you're burning in hell, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they asked Ricky about injuries because his doctors, of course, were a sin. Ricky said that he had thought that his spine was crooked from the beatings with the 2x4s on his back. He had constant pain even 2 years later. He said, his back was still hurting him 2 years later. And he was always covered with bruises. Ricky didn't want to talk about his abuse anymore. He wanted to talk about Nate. It's like, because Nate was still living there with Rima and his adopted parents, by the way, whose names are Sharon and Ralph Hayward, Hayward.
Yep. Nope.
When they came to the cult, Nate was a toddler and he wasn't learning to walk or talk properly. The beatings probably had something to do with that.
Yeah.
He was treated with the same viciousness that Ricky was for something as simple as playing with a toy. His parents were more than happy to follow Rima's lead. After all, she was God's prophet. God's manifestation on earth.
Huh. Far from it.
Huh?
Far from it.
Yeah. Nate and Ricky became close as the two youngest people there, and Ricky said that as he got older, Nate would say that he hated his mother and he wanted to kill her. Nate would say that as a little kid.
Mm.
He took out his anger on animals and sometimes even on Ricky. He would just lose his temper and just start beating on Ricky. Because Ricky was the only person who wasn't going to just turn around and beat him 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Ricky would let him go, Ricky would let him get it all out. He even had plans on how he was going to kill his mother, like detailed plans of how he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And Ricky admitted that he had similar thoughts about Rima. Don't blame him.
Me neither.
The police asked Ricky if he wanted to press charges against his mother, and he said no. He was just worried about Nate. But after Rima, David, Sharon, and Ralph were arrested, Ricky's older brother, Ron, not the missionary one, but Ron, he had heard about it and contacted Ricky saying that he would testify against Rima in court. Ricky then agreed to press charges and to testify. This is the only trigger warning I'm going to give in this episode. The whole episode's bad. This part is just really, really, really bad. I don't even know how long it's going to take, to get through this part. So I can't tell you how far to skip ahead. Just if you need to. So just kind of skip, and if you hear us talking about something else, then you're good. But also in the interview, Ricky was asked if he had ever been sexually assaulted. He said that Rima, his old mother, had forced him to have sex with her, saying that it was God's way, and if he didn't comply with God's will, he would burn in hell. The officers believed him because his body language was that of a victim. He wasn't making this up. I mean, they even had, analysts, like behavior analysts.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's like, no, he's telling the truth.
Yeah, watching the body language and seeing how they react. Yeah.
He also raised his shirt, and there were 9 long scars on his chest from where Rima had slashed him with a knife.
Damn.
They looked like the cuts had been deep, but had healed on their own, and there were no evidence of stitches.
Jesus.
There was a 3-inch scar on his left inner thigh, and Rima had inflicted to purify him and rid him of the devil. No stitch marks on this one either. He explained that Rima had come into his room one night to have sex with him. She said that he had to, and it was God's way, and besides, he was ugly, so nobody else would want to have sex with him. He refused, and she responded by cutting his thigh with a box cutter, saying that if he didn't perform, she had to purify him. And this was in 1984, right before he left to be with his father. So this was probably the tipping point.
Yeah, that was his trigger.
Yeah. Okay, we're done with that part now.
And he was out. How old when this happened?
15.
Jesus.
Because he's like 16 or 17, because he's 19 now, and he had been away from her for 2 years.
Okay.
Shortly later, he got into an argument with Rima and David. He said he was leaving to go live with his father. Rima, David, and 2 other cultists held him down and sat on him so he couldn't move. He fought that there was nothing that he could do. I mean, Rima screamed and preached and prayed at him for over an hour. Then they dragged him to his room, and they watched him all night long to make sure that he didn't try to escape. Several days later, Rima approached Ricky again to rededicate him to her teachings and prevent him from leaving. She tried to have sex with him again. He refused, and she slashed his shoulder and chest and back with the knife, with the box cutter.
Damn, and a box cutter. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a regular knife. Box cutters aren't like regular knives, you know. It's like those are razor blades.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they make nasty cuts too. It's not like a clean cut that they make either.
Damn.
But it wasn't too much longer before he just finally did leave in the middle of the night. Even at 17 years old, he said that he was worried that God would strike him down for leaving. He snuck out of the house in the middle of the night, walked through the woods to where his father was waiting for him.
Oh, so he
managed to get to a phone and call his dad.
Wow.
Schedule it, a meetup time.
Yeah. Yeah, and granted, this is before the whole cell phone thing, so.
Yeah.
Man, how the heck did he get to a phone? Man.
I don't know. Maybe he went out in the middle of the night when they weren't watching him. He went to a 7-Eleven or something. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
They have 7-Elevens in Canada?
I don't know. I think they're worldwide.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
But one day he went back to the house to get some belongings that he had left behind, and Rima was the only one there. She tried yet again to have sex with him. He refused, and she slashed him yet again. He bolted, and he never went back. And although Rima would call his father's house multiple times a day, threatening him and his father, and finally they just changed the number to an unlisted one. Good on you, Pops.
Yeah. That's when they had real unlisted numbers.
Yeah.
Now it's like you could put you on a do not call list and he'd still freaking call you.
Yep. Rima Ailing was a lot of things, but one thing she wasn't was ordained. Well, she was ordained by herself.
Yeah.
She was 56 years old. She had raised 3 boys under her warped brand of Christianity. The house that she lived in was a historic stone house that was isolated, and not really visible to anybody from the street or any neighbors. It was secluded. She had written a rule book that she called the Statement of Faith and Practices, which was more like the Rima Commandments. They read like this. Take it, Paul.
Oh, man. We believe in the committed membership of the Lord as a local expression of the body universal. Number 1. Number 2, committed to a specific church. 3, committed to the vision of the leadership of that church. 4, committed in terms of time and energy to that church. 5, committed to the meetings times of that church. 6, committed in terms of financial support of that church in a specific way to the membership of that church. Committed. Yeah, ching ching. Committed to bearing the burdens of that church. Now, discipline. Hold it on. Discipline to be administered where there is a persistent following after the wrong ways of God. Discipline to be exercised. To be exercised. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I spelled it wrong.
Yeah. I'm used to seeing a Z.
No, it's
But
exercised.
Yeah.
Like exorcisms.
Yeah. I'm used to that. A discipline to be exercised where there is a danger of harm to the rest of the family of God.
What about harm to me? Well, you don't matter.
Discipline is always administered with a view of restoration. Discipline has degrees. Oh, geez.
Ogres have layers.
Like an onion. Questions concerning membership. Who desires to become a member of this local church?
Not me.
Not me. Not I either. Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? Do you know from the Lord that he is setting you into this local church. Do you know and understand the basic teachings of the local church? Last but not least, will you abide under the authority and discipline under the elders whom the Lord has placed over this local church?
Do you know? Do you know do you know and understand the basic teachings of this local church? You don't even know. You make them up as you go. So how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Right?
I have questions though. Are there two churches? Because she says that church, and later she says this church.
She's confused.
Maybe this church is hers, and that church is where you get sent if you're not good enough to get into this church.
It's multi-dimensional.
If by going to that church, you will have to submit yourself to being flogged whenever she thinks you deserve it. I don't care if I came to this or that church, and she handed me that list, I'd laugh in her face. I mean, you'd think that discipline would be talked about later on once you committed to going to this church.
Or that church.
Or that church. I mean, it's just you're trying, but it worked. She was a freaking con artist, though. But I'm sorry, but you don't. Oh, if we're gonna exercise you. We're gonna beat you. We're gonna if you step out of line. Okay, sign me up.
This woman was seriously demented.
Mm-hmm.
She needed to be put in a rubber room. Rubber room, and asked, I would have put her in a round rubber room and tell her to sit in a corner.
But if that manifesto doesn't scream, this is a cult, I don't know what does. But David had joined the same as anybody else did, but he, like everyone else, turned all blip, 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 blip. Remember that video game? Those commercials? Blip, blip, blip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was like basically, it was like tennis. It was just a line going up.
Yeah.
Lines going up on either side of it.
Blip, blip, blip,
blip, blip, blip. And
blip,
the commercial was like blip, 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 blip. It was a little palate cleanser for you.
Yes.
But David joined the same as anybody else did. He, like everybody else, turned over all of his wealth to Rima, but David was wealthy, so that earned him favors that the others didn't get, willingly anyway. But before too long, he had charmed his way into Rima's heart, if you want to call it that, as well as her bed. And they were later married. And the book doesn't say that if it was a legal marriage or not, but David had left his own wife for Rima and quickly became her second in command.
Man.
Rima had her oldest son bring his school friends to listen to her preach, and I can't imagine he had many friends after that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, right.
Especially if any of them actually did come to listen. Yeah, that ploy didn't work very long. It didn't last very long, and the kids that did come back, only came once, and the kids that did come there only came once and didn't come back.
I wouldn't have. I'd be like, what? Who the hell is this woman?
Yeah. I mean, she wouldn't pick up. She would pick up hitchhikers and vagrants and even Cambodian refugees and bring them to the place. And too bad she didn't pick up a serial killer.
Yeah.
What Willie Picton was doing at that time.
Yeah.
Well, Willie Picton's in Vancouver. This is on the clear other side of the continent.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But at one point, she had over 25 people crammed into that house.
Not this house, that house.
Right.
I guess if it's a stone house, you have multiple identities.
Because she's stoned.
Yeah. Isn't it so like a stone, like a stone house, like
Yeah, like
stone?
yeah, like back like it was built in the 17 or 1800s.
Yeah. I mean, old home. I always like those homes. Like
I do too. I just don't.
Pennsylvania.
I do too. I just don't like this one.
No, exactly. Yeah. Stone houses have a personality. It's like they stand the test of time. And it's like
I have a feeling this house probably needed to be demolished, or at very least have the Ghostbusters come through.
Yeah, it needed severe smudging.
Yeah. We're going to get into a description of the house later on. In 1977, a former cult member reported them to the authorities and an investigation was done. The report that was on Nate. This former member said that Rima claimed to be a prophet. He had also witnessed the boy being beaten by Rima and the boy's parents. He also reported that Rima's husband, David, was the second in command of the cult and that he had been fired from a job for the abuse of special needs children. Yeah, so he's a fucking winner as well. No wonder Rima liked him so much.
Wow. So he was actually in charge of other children
before coming to Rima.
God, where do they find these people?
Sadistic fucks always manage to find each other.
Yeah.
Rima, David, and the parents were interviewed. They said that Nate was rebellious and disobedient, and that he had an evil spirit in him, and that he had to be strictly disciplined. Caseworker brought up the bruises, which Rima denied. And whenever they tried to ask Ralph any questions, Rima would shut them down, saying that Ralph was too weak for questioning. And she pitched a fit when the caseworker insisted on questioning Ralph. Ralph didn't deny the bruises, but he said that they weren't severe and didn't last more than a day or two. And he promised that it would never happen again. Get ready for your blood to boil. Child Services closed the case in 1978 on basically what amounted to a pinky promise that the abuse wouldn't happen again.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the case worsener.
Yeah.
Anytime we have law enforcement that don't do their job and things, I think I just coined a new phrase that we're going to use on this: case worsener. Instead of caseworker, it's going to be case worsener.
Case worsener. Yep.
Yeah, at least something good will come out of this episode. At least something. Yeah.
You put it in the show description.
Yeah, case worsener. Oh boy, it's about to get worse. 1983, one of the Cambodian refugees reported that Rima and the parents were abusing the boy as well as the Cambodian refugees' own children. Children had old marks on them that appeared to be frightened when they were interviewed, but this case was dismissed because it wasn't evidence of child abuse.
God damn. That's twice. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently a case worsener.
2 for 2.
But think about what these marks had to have looked like. Cambodians are generally dark-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've been there.
So it would have to be a pretty bad scar to show up like that as a result of bruising, because the only person that got cut was Ricky. That we know of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure others happen.
That's the thing. There must have been a big thing going on with Cambodia. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Hold on.
Cambodian
Don't get ahead. Don't get ahead. So the Toronto Child Aid Society followed up with the Cambodian mother, who said once again that the kids were being mistreated by the church.
This church or that church?
I'm not sure. I'm aggravated.
Same here.
Yeah, this one's.
Same.
But she said that the children. Okay, pay attention here, and I'm not saying that you don't, but just pay attention to what I'm about to say. She said that the children had to be schooled by the church, and they had to denounce Buddhism and become Protestant. They weren't allowed to leave the house at all, not even to see family members in Montreal, and they were also kept away from other Cambodians in the house. This was because the husband had decided to forsake everything and follow Rima with total devotion, because Rima had told him that it was God's will that they be there. That was why they left Cambodia and had come to Canada.
Not to escape genocide?
No, just to be there to service Rima. Yeah. Had nothing to do with the genocide. But so this family was sponsored by that church, and David said that the schooling was administered by the Board of Education. Now, hold on. This is what I was telling you to pay attention to. He also said that the family spoke no English, so like you just said, bullshit. Those kids weren't being schooled.
They were enslaved.
Yeah, and if they didn't speak any English, how were they able to be schooled by a Canadian homeschooling program?
Exactly. Control. Full control and power.
Yeah.
I think she was like a reincarnate of Hitler.
Yeah. Or Gertrude Baniszewski.
Yeah.
I mean, she's worse than Gertrude, which is crazy. I never thought I'd hear myself say that about anybody being worse than that freaking twat waffle. I think that's the first time that I've ever said twat waffle on this podcast.
Oh, man. At the same time, I've never heard that, but that actually fits.
Yeah. Indeed. So Rima said that these are all false allegations, and guess what happened next? I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count.
Case was closed in 1983.
Right.
The hell with the freaking municipality trying to do their jobs.
The case worseners?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to keep saying that so I remember it. Because that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll go in there with other things that this podcast has coined, like prison tender.
Right? It's like caseworkers. Oh, you mean worseners? No, workers. No, worseners. I ain't opening the door.
No, the one, I mean, when they're rock stars, when they do their job well and everything, like David Carter, this cop, this guy's a fucking rock star.
Yeah.
He's not a case worsener.
Exactly.
But these family aid workers, they're case working.
Workers, worseners. Yeah.
God, I'm good. Now that I know how to do video editing, I think I'm going to make a reel out of that.
Best of bloopers.
Yeah. I know how to do that now. So, oh man. So you doing all right? You hanging in there?
Yeah, I'm trying to lighten the load.
Okay, cool. Because now it's time for the exorcisms. Oh, this is uncomfortable laughter. This isn't laughing because I think it's funny. This is uncomfortable laughter. So the police began interviewing Ricky's older brother, Ron. Now, keep in mind, this is still before they went in to get Nate. This was, they went about a month before to initially interview Ricky. So we're still not back to the beginning, what I talked about at the beginning of this case yet. I'll let you know when we're there.
Right.
But okay, Ron told them about Rima's sermon. Ricky, Ron, Rima. The sons' names have been changed in the book, but the author also changed Rima and David's names as well as Nate. Said it before. I'm not gonna use the children's real names, but as for the other four, screw them. I'm using their names as reported by that TV footage that I saw.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ron said that there were multiple sermons about tithing. 10% of your income goes to the church, although he figured Rima was getting much more than 10%, because two properties that they rented, Rima had zero income. So naturally she would have to drive that point home, and, the churches that like really, like I've been to some churches. I went to one church for like a month, during a certain time in my life after, as when I was in my 30s. And I was all four Sundays that I was there, they were talking about tithing. That's it. That's what the sermon was about. They even went so far as to bring little kids up there and do a little skit about tithing. Like, really? That was when I'm like, check, please. I don't know. I have a hard time with churches.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not feel comfortable. Even if it's a good church, I still don't feel comfortable there because, it's just like, I kind of feel like,
Yeah. I've been to some that are like, what? You're going to, you force me to tithe? No. And then he send you a letter in the mail. Oh,
these days
we're asking you for an extra 5%.
These days, they probably have it set up to where they can just debit your account.
Yep.
I don't know, but I'm sure that some do. Especially,
I've actually heard that happen. Yeah,
really,
like they went up 5 or 10%, and no notices are sent out, and people are whoa, what's going on here?
Well, sorry, kids. Guess you're not getting your new pair of shoes this month. Freaking. I could do an entire episode about tithing. But other sermons were Rima tooting her own horn about how she was God's prophet. Of course, she's going to talk about herself because, like you said, she's a pure narcissist. Yeah. Textbook definition of a narcissist. There were also what he called deliverance services, which included exorcisms. Any person who Rima deemed was possessed was put in the middle of the room on a chair. Everybody would lay hands on them, praying. And I'm not talking about, Lord, please help our brother here. We're talking laying hands on forcefully and screaming the prayer. It doesn't say whether they were speaking in tongues, but they were Protestant, so I'm assuming that they did.
Yeah,
I think Protestants speak in tongues.
Yeah,
I think they do.
They were.
Speaking. No, it's group speak. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I cover that in episode 10 and 11. But this person, that they would pray over him, commanding the demon release the person. The person would throw themselves on the floor, thrashing around, making animal noises, and in some cases, a black bile would come out of their mouths, and which was something that Rima had made. And she said it was the essence of demon coming out, and this would go on for hours until Rima declared them clean again. And talking about that thing about the bile, it was probably something like in some sort of gelatin casing that they popped into the mouth, and like when they're screaming and everything, it would pop. The person probably didn't even know that it had happened. And that's just me. That's just me. Assuming. That's not the word I was looking for, but that's just kind of what I think would happen. Yeah. Because who would do that intentionally? Here, put this in your mouth so it looks good. You know, even if you're being controlled, I don't think that you're gonna go along with that unless she had some type of story behind it. Like, okay, this is gonna help get the demon out, so bite it.
Yeah, just beforehand. Yep.
You know,
Like a
speculating.
freaking yeah,
I'm speculating, but who knows?
Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah, it's like the exorcism equivalent to the chicken guts in a balloon. The
Uh,
the cancer the the cancer treatments where they slide a hand in and make you think that they actually reached into your
yeah,
stomach.
yeah.
R.I.P. Andy Kaufman. But this could happen to anybody. Whenever Rima wanted to do it, just whenever she wanted to do it. All right, exorcism. You get over here. You're possessed by the devil.
Ooh.
A witch.
Yeah.
Uh, some people would volunteer to have it done, likely to try and get themselves in Rima's good graces, but that never worked.
Mm.
Like, okay, maybe if I let her do that crap to me, maybe she'll stop treating me like I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Nope, you're still going to be treated like a piece of shit. Keep in mind, they're giving all their money to this freaking bitch and still treating them everybody like shit.
Oh.
If someone so much as suspected that you had a demon, Rima ordered an exorcism. Now this part blows my mind because all newcomers immediately part of like joining was they had to have an exorcism done on them.
Oh, yeah. It's yeah. Her version of being blessed before entering the property, smudged before entering the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hate her. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do. Yeah. And now I can't even stand the word Rima. Rima.
Thank God it's not a common name.
Ah. Yeah. Right.
Reminds me of Zima, which was the worst alcoholic beverage ever made.
I remember that stuff. Jesus,
I do
what
too.
the hell was it?
Horrible.
It was like I think the thing closest to it is was it like Bacardi? Bacardi.
I don't know. I remember taking one sip and going, ugh!
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a lemonade, a clear lemonade,
something
malt beverage.
Yeah, I was never really big on malt liquor.
Me neither.
But age didn't matter either. You know, when Nate was just a year and a half old, he was crying. You know, Rima demanded that Sharon punish him because everybody knows that babies stop crying if you beat them. Everybody knows that. Of course, it didn't work. So, and you know, he must have been possessed by a demon.
Wow.
So Rima said to beat him on his bare backside. Sharon wasn't doing it to Rima's satisfaction, so she took over and just went to town on Nate. And she said that kids had to be taught at an early age to respect authority. A year and a half old? A year and a half fucking old. You're gonna, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Doctors and dentists were a sin. You know, likely because if a kid was taken to one, they'd have lots of explaining to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you missing 8 teeth?
Ron finally, at 14 years old, decided it was time to go live with his father. And they had a similar reaction from Rima that Ricky did when he when he left, minus the attempted rape. David tried to hold the door shut, but Ron literally shoved his ass out of the way and bolted, all while Rima was screeching about burning in hell. David had followed Ron and his dad was there waiting at the clearing, you know, just like it was when Ricky went. So apparently, yeah. But Ron was screaming and calling his dad a liar and a hypocrite and an evil man. But he and Rima forgave him because they knew not what they were doing. Yeah, fuck you, David. And it really sucks that the author of this book's name is also David.
All right. We'll just call him Dave.
We'll just call this David. We'll just call him Dickhead. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big D, small D.
Small D.
Small D.
Later, Ron and his older brother, and the missionary, the older brother missionary had come back into town, and they all went to talk to Rima about Ricky, but Rima didn't let them. She started beating Ron, and when they tried to stop her, she came at them with a weapon. Rima then called the police, and they told Ron and his brother to leave. Case worseners.
Yep.
Ricky had witnessed this whole incident from his bedroom window.
Wow.
The police began interviewing former cult witnesses. The police began interviewing former cult members as witnesses. One was a deacon, what had been like Rima's deacon. He said that services would be every Wednesday and every Friday evening and twice on Sunday, and attendance was mandatory.
It's the rules of that church.
That one. I don't know if it's the rules of this one, but
not this one, just that one.
Definitely that one. Sorry, Rima, you wrote these. You wrote those rules,
right?
We're just trying to interpret them, bitch.
Yeah.
Wow, you freaking Canadians. Anthill Kids. Anthill Kids is like the worst cult story that there is. And I didn't think that. Why isn't this one well known? It should be. It's like it will be if I have my way. I want other podcasts to cover this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the
I don't know why. I don't know why it's hidden. It's
probably because there's not really anything that you can Google about it. Yeah. There's that footage, from the TV station, but if I happen to stumble across that footage and that's all there was, and I looked and found there was nothing else, I mean, I would probably just like, oh, okay, just not thought anything of it. It's okay. It's just a child abuse case. And then, I wouldn't, without this book, that news footage that I saw means nothing to me.
Yeah.
So I had this book. So then I found the, that news footage. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I got your names, bitches. Jam. And you know what? I was talking with Christy from Buried Motives about this case, like when I was writing the notes.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that actually, I think I said this to you. We may think we have the worst one, but there's always going to be somebody worse.
There's always something hiding.
There's probably something hiding out there that's worse than the Anthill Kids.
Yeah.
This one isn't worse than the Anthill Kids. It's not even on the same level, if that tells you anything about the Anthill Kids. Yeah, I'm waiting on doing that one. Yeah, it's going to be a while before we cover the Anthill Kids. but they're also Canadian. I mean, I'm not knocking Canada. I'm not. But yeah, this I didn't expect just finding this story and then finding out that it's not known at all.
Right. There's just something unique about Canadian north of the border stuff, man.
Maybe they got a bad batch of syrup.
Right? Yeah. I don't know.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But they would discuss the Bible, and if anybody was even so much as had a question, just not even disagreed, just had a question. It's like, oh, could you clarify that? Devil!
Immediate exorcism.
Immediate exorcism. Yeah. I mean, just a question. I kind of miss. What could you expand on that a little bit? Devil! Basically, it's just, you will do what I say when I say. Back to the front.
Right.
Oh man. Exorcisms? One of the ways that she wielded powder. One of the
Yeah, she was probably snorting that too.
What? One of the ways she wielded power
There you go.
was, of all things, like sugar snacks. Yeah, this would put people on sugar highs and then crash on lows and everything. That and the stone building that they were in had dank air in it and moldy, and it was either really hot or really cold, so people there were susceptible to suggestion.
Yeah, probably mold.
Yeah. The deacon shed some light on the tithing amounts. It was $75 to $100 a week per person.
Holy shit.
Straight into Rima's pocket. And it was all cash. What money? What money? I got no money.
Yeah,
No
what money?
Yeah, what money?
Yeah, she was buying blow.
So if somebody, let's say, heaven forbid, it was a family of, like a husband, wife, and 3 kids, that's $500 a week that they would have to pay.
This is back in the 80s, man.
Yeah.
That went long.
That's when your paycheck. That's when, if you got a $300 a week paycheck, that was good money.
Yeah. Shit.
But if you lived there,
Wow.
sleeping on freaking mattresses in hallways, or whatever.
Man, it had up to what? How many members? What time? About 10?
There was, at one point, there was 25 in that house.
Whoa. Shit.
But then so I don't think it got really over 25 or 30. Because they got into that other house and they divided it up, but that other house was on the property. And they rented it. They didn't own it.
Oh.
But the deacon also backed up the claims of child abuse. And he told of a black kid who they had intensely exercised for multiple hours, and he left that night and killed himself.
Oh.
Yeah. He killed himself because he couldn't take what was, what had happened to him, what he had just been put through. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't take it. So he offed himself.
Shit.
If you drive somebody to suicide, you should be held.
That's bad.
For murder.
Whoa.
That's murder.
Yeah.
It might be second-degree murder. Manslaughter. It's manslaughter.
Yeah, it takes that takes a lot for someone to off themselves. And honestly, there's no details as to what they did in order for him to go that far.
Well, I already gave you the details.
Yeah, but
By the way, the book goes into more detail than I am.
Hey.
This is already good. It's already a long episode. But the deacon himself had exorcism done to him that resulted in permanent damage to one of his ears because Rima had punched him so hard in his ear that it forced air like a plunger into his ear canal.
Jeez.
He was also choked so badly that he was coughing up blood and mucus. This was Rima's own deacon, one of her inner circle. She's going to treat him like that. Imagine what he did to what she did to the low people on the totem pole.
Dang.
The people that could only afford $75 a week.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't like this case.
Yeah, this woman is literally the devil incarnate.
Mm-hmm. She really is. And
Man.
he also said that some people's arms were bent to the point that the bones snapped, and of course, doctors weren't allowed. I broke my ankle as a kid. Wasn't allowed to go as a doctor. The ankle didn't heal properly. I walk with a limp now, and I have no cartilage in my ankle.
Jeez.
See why this is probably getting to me more? It's because it's just like I've been through this. Not to this degree, but I have been through it.
Yeah.
And thank God it wasn't to this degree.
Right? Fuck.
But this deacon was also helpful in getting contact information for other survivors, and who were also happy to get on board with the investigation.
Yeah, thank God someone came out.
Mm-hmm. Another survivor was a woman who Ralph had hired to babysit Nate, as in raise completely. She did this for a year, and whenever Nate would go back with his parents for a few days, his rear end would be black and blue, as well as other bruises on his body. She confronted Ralph about it. He said that the boy was playing with older kids, and they got rough. And she didn't believe him, and she threatened to report him. And at that point, Ralph removed Nate from her care, and this woman's daughter also reported witnessing abuse. Nobody actually reported. She reported the abuse after the deacon started rounding people up.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody actually reported anything because of how programmed they were to Rima's bullshit. So now we're up to where the search warrant was issued at the beginning of the episode.
Okay.
So they would be looking for sticks. They were specifically looking for the box cutter that Ricky and the others had described. The police also got permission to remove the boy from the property if he came willingly, but the court wanted evidence of a religious cult as well, and they really didn't have anything other than hearsay at this point. Luckily, one of the times an officer had gone there to for a check because somebody had reported something, Sharon had given the officer a pamphlet with his Rest Christian Fellowship printed on it, as well as just ramblings about the cult. And the officer still had it. That was all the court needed. So they issued the warrant. Yeah, good on you, officer, for not throwing that away. So now we're caught up. We're back at the beginning of the episode.
Like a Quentin Tarantino film.
After Nate was taken away, they entered the house, and Sharon had answered the door, and she had told them that Rima and David were in California. The house was muggy. There was no AC. There was dust everywhere. Sharon was wearing a full-length cotton dress, and with the dust in the air, with the sunlight coming through, her appearance, Officer David Carter, said that she looked like a ghost depiction in a movie. God, I want to have David Carter on to talk about this case.
Right.
Might do that on a CKCB features.
Oh yeah.
Although I changed it to features.
Features?
Because there's a podcast that I like, and I'm actually friends with the host. Like online we talk a lot, and that's so fucked up. And they have they do segments. I mean, in a lot of ways, the way that this podcast has happened is it mirrors hers, because she's been through several co-hosts, and she also has guests on frequently to talk. And whenever she has guests on with just her and the guest, she calls it TSFU Presents. And that was probably in my head when I came up with the name CKCB Presents.
Oh yeah.
So she told me she didn't mind. She's like, I don't own the name Presents.
Yeah. Right.
But still, I'm just like, nah, I don't want it. I don't want that obvious.
Feature sounds better.
Um,
It's a feat. Like, yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, and I felt bad about it because I listened to her podcast a lot, but it didn't occur to me when I came up with CKCB Presents. It didn't even occur to me that hers was TSFU Presents. So I was like, shit, I don't want people to think I ripped her off. I did, but it wasn't intentional. I didn't do it on purpose. And then once I realized, I mean, I'm not going to go into the artwork that's on the 2 episodes that we have, and I'm not going to go changing the names. Just moving forward, it'll be CKCB Features.
Yeah. Director's cut.
How the hell did I get? Oh, I said I wanted to have David Carter on to talk about this case. Yeah. So Sharon was arrested for the abuse charges against her, and the police continued the search. The place was a mess. Religious pamphlets, Bibles, and diaries were stacked everywhere. And I wonder what, I got to assume that there wasn't anything damning in those diaries, but you'll see why later. So put a knife in that.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to move through the house. There were tree branches in the corners throughout the house. I wonder what they were used for.
Yeah. And it sounds like they were hoarders too, because I mean, if you couldn't move through the house, yeah.
But all of these wooden tree branches. That's kind of a. That's a little redundant,
right?
But they all had names scratched into them.
Ooh.
Like everybody had their own specific.
Yep.
Yeah. Lots of box cutters were found. These sticks and knives were in every room of the house. They went into the basement and it was filled with gallon-sized jars, like those huge pickle jars that you can get.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. And they were filled with some type of preserved food.
Huh.
They were stockpiling.
Preppers.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't
Hoarders.
call them preppers.
Yeah. But back then they wouldn't be preppers, but yeah, the hoarders.
Right. Yeah. But Officer Carter wanted to specifically find the box cutter that Ricky had described. It was painted red with Rima's name written on it. And it was looking like that was going to be an impossible task to find that box cutter. But finally, in a corner, in a briefcase, he found it. The box cutter. DNA wasn't a thing. He just wanted to have it just because. I mean, he's got a kinship at this point with Ricky. He feels, he feels close to Ricky. He feels sorry for him. He feels, so he wanted to find that exact thing.
Yeah, bag it and dust it.
Yep. But cult members had been detained outside, and they weren't putting up a fight. And they were just standing there with dazed looks on their faces. And finally, they left with Sharon and Ralph in custody. Nobody else was arrested because Ricky hadn't mentioned anybody else.
Yeah.
When Nate was on the way to the police station, they asked him if he was excited to see Ricky again. He said he was. Then he just started spitting out random things. I mean, he was confused. He admitted to being beaten and locked in his room without food. Remo would also wrap a rubber band tightly around his scrotum and make him keep it on for an extended period of time. He confirmed what Ricky had said about no doctors or dentists. He said that a cat had scratched him in his eye one time, and all they did was put iodine in it. It had gotten iodine in your eye? That's salt.
Ouch.
Yeah. But it had gotten infected. He also said that his teeth hurt when he ate. Treatments that were allowed there consisted of Rima using iodine, alcohol, and needles, and tobacco leaves.
Oh.
He also said that he had no friends and he was pretty much just existed there doing chores and pretty much nothing else. He said that he wanted to go to school. This is
Yeah,
Nate.
I would too. I mean, shit, I
Yeah.
want to get the hell out of that fucking place. Holy hell.
When they asked about the bruises and scars, he said that he had gotten them for being bad. And that blew Carter away. And he was, because Nate was conditioned to think that his abuse was his own fault. He pointed out specific sticks that had been used to beat him with. One of the sticks, he had carved his name on it as a gift for Sharon, who later used it on him out of gratitude.
Mm.
Nate was assessed by a psychiatrist, and this is the assessment. Take it, Paul. Give me a break for a minute.
On 2 occasions in the residence, Nathaniel has dealt with Nate. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On 2 occasions in the residence, Nate was dealing with built-up feelings in an aggressive manner. He has hit staff twice and used abusive, violent language a number of times. Twice, restraints and aggression programs were necessary. He acts as though he is joking or playing, but can become verbally and physically very hurtful and aggressive. He is becoming increasingly manipulative and tries to get around homework. His homework book was assigned to counter the problem, but he works at getting around that. At times, at times he will admittedly deny and give adamantly deny and give lengthy explanations and avoids further discussion and eye contact. He has been late for school several times without reason. He has been caught smoking at school. The school is aware of at least 3 fistfights. Great difficulty in accepting responsibility and will protect that he is not at fault and had good reason to act as he has. At the crease of the page there.
Yeah.
He aches and pains. Has aches and pains. Beaten all the pulp. Of course he does.
Yep.
Nate's parents told him that the family had left the church as a result, and his apprehension. Okay, that's right. His apprehension and that they will go to prison as a result of the statements he made. Confession over why.
Confusion. Now, going back to that last one, he had been told by his, by them, it's just like, oh, we're going to go to prison thanks to what you've said about us. He try to guilt him, basically.
Oh, yeah. Nate talked about witches, full moons, and werewolves, that they would meet in the park on a full moon, and that these people would turn into vicious animals. He explained that these people were Satan worshippers, and he had learned through his parents. Nate's birth mother had not followed through on any visits with him. She let it be known that she was going through difficulties in her life at the moment and needed to sort it out that first.
Put a knife in that.
Altercations with other children, lying to the staff and other school staff, not completing 15 or 16 assignments and lying about it. Very little motivation. Does not want to follow routines. Nate is holding in a great deal of his feelings, and rather than dealing with them, is acting them out. Long history of bedwetting, and hides his wet sheets and pajamas. Nate stated that he wets the bed when he has nightmares, extremely quiet and reserved, establishes very little eye contact during any session and only speaks when answering a question.
So yeah, that's what you're doing to kids when you abuse them.
Hmm.
But people that are, I mean, you know this, I know this, but people doing it, they know it too. They just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But,
Those are the signs, man.
mhm.
Those are the signs.
February of 1987, a hearing was held to see if Nate could be given back to Sharon and Ralph. Ricky was the main witness. The hearing had been going on for several hours when all of a sudden their attorney just stopped it and announced that Sharon and Ralph would no longer be seeking to regain custody. Rima's son Ron said that that had to have been on Rima's orders. Basically, like send one sheep to pasture in order to save the entire flock. Some of the things that were presented in the case were, like I mentioned before, all the cultists lived with Rima. All of their money went to Rima, but the majority of what they ate was candy to keep them in line. This is also why they had the days looked on the day of the arrest. This combined with those hour-long marathon services and of course work kept them in that daze. Most of the cultists were deprogrammed, thankfully. Rima refused to be interviewed by the press, and she just sat in the interview room singing church hymns. Kind of reminds me of the witch killers.
Yeah.
Remember when they, yeah. Sharon and Ralph only admitted to spanking the boy on his rear, and they said that what they had done wasn't that bad. They denied that he had been starved and that he only missed a meal every now and then. They admitted that he had never been to the doctor because they believed in divine healing, and which you would get if you prayed for it. Oh, my ankle did.
Right.
Yeah, divine healing never works. The charges against Rima, David, Sharon, and Ralph were, take it, Paul.
1, failure to provide the necessities of life with respect to Ricky from 1975 to 1985, which were for Rima and David. And as continues here, assault with a deadly weapon, or a weapon, any weapon's deadly in my eye.
Yeah.
I just added that word in there because, yeah, sounds better. Assault with a weapon with respect to an assault committed against Ricky using a 3-foot-long tree branch. There's where the tree branches come in handy.
Mm-hmm.
Charges led against the pastor. 2 charges of counseling and committing incest relating to the pastor's 1984 efforts to have intercourse with her son, Ricky. Charges led against the pastor. 2 charges of sexual assault relating to the pastor's 1984 attempts to have intercourse with her son, Ricky. Charges led against the pastor. 2 charges of aggravated assault and the use of a box cutter on Ricky when he refused to have sex with the pastor. Charges led against the pastor. 2 charges of weapons dangerous with respect to her use of a box cutter on Ricky. Charges led against the pastor. Fail to provide the necessities of life and assault. Charges laid against Susan and Greg. Yeah, Susan and Greg, Nate's parents.
Yeah, Sharon and Ralph. April 9th and 10th, 1987, Sharon and Ralph were put on trial. Ricky testified against them, and he was nervous, but his story never changed. Sharon took the stand refuting everything that Ricky had said, and the verdict against Sharon and Ralph, take it, Paul.
Count 1, assault, not guilty. Count 2, failure to provide necessities of life, and not guilty.
Yeah. That was about when my head exploded in this. I mean, I'm like, really?
Was this a jury or just a judge?
This was a judge. I think.
What?
It didn't really specify. The later trial was a jury trial. The trial against Rima and David was a jury trial, which we're about to get to. But Nate was shocked, as was Ricky and everybody else. And Ricky's like, "What else do they need to hear? I mean, did the boy have to look like a famine victim in a third world country? I mean, these two chuckleheads were free. That's Sharon and Ralph Hayward, Hayward. You can't hide from CKCB.
D is in small dick.
Yeah. if I need to rig up another mic, like a Shure SM58 here, so I can drop it. Because a 58 can handle that. This one cannot.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah. There we go. There's the mic drop. May 13th, 1987, the trial against Rima and David began. Ricky and Don testified once again, and once again, their stories didn't change. And Rima and David, of course, denied everything. And when the incest issue came up, Rima acted hurt and offended. What? I mean, Ricky went into much more detail than I did, and you're welcome for that. I was not going to go through everything that Ricky said. I didn't want to read it, and I damn sure didn't want to go through it again. And I don't want you all to hear it either. You're welcome.
Right.
I've had enough of this case, but I want other podcasts to cover it. I keep saying that, and it's true. I want other podcasts to do this episode, podcasters. There's only one source, and it's the book that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, pick up on it, guys.
Yes.
Anybody
please.
out there?
Yes. Ricky went through everything. The abuse, the neglect, all of it. The defense attorney was playing dirty. Like, every time Ricky got emotional, he would ask Ricky to repeat himself, saying he couldn't hear him. Like, it's like, okay, she tried to have sex with me. She cut me with a box cutter. What was that? Could you repeat that, sir? Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
I want that defense attorney's name. But then again, I mean, he's just doing his job.
Yeah. That's what she was saving all that money for.
her inevitable defense?
Yeah. Probably a public defender that got paid by the public anyway, but she's like, here's a tip.
I don't know. I think you might be onto something about where all the money was going to.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, nothing good happens in this case.
God.
So I'm not going to say spoiler alert because we're almost there anyway. So, Ricky's father took him to a dentist after he moved in with him, and the dentist testified that he found 9 cavities and that 2 of his teeth had to be removed.
I was off by what?
6.
6, yeah. Yeah.
But he had 9 cavities, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
close.
Ralph took the stand saying that none of Ricky's testimony was true, and it was extremely exaggerated at best. Okay. How do you exaggerate? The bitch slashed me with a fucking box cutter.
Can't.
Nope. Finally, Rima took the stand. And she, of course, denied everything. And one thing that I found hilarious was her explanation of Ricky's punishment that I mentioned early on for wearing blue jeans. Blue jeans were a sin because God prohibits lust. Excuse me?
Blue jeans? What is it? The color, or is like denim?
I don't know.
Against the law or something. I don't
I mean, maybe it was the tight fit. I mean, this is the 80s. But, this was the late 80s. Denim was starting to loosen up at that point.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Well, this was the early 80s. Yeah, because Ricky was still there. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
They were still kind of tight. I mean, but still, I mean, damn. Come to think of it, I wasn't able to allowed to wear blue jeans either. I had to wear corduroy.
Yeah.
Those are so comfortable. Corduroy jeans.
Oh yeah.
They're so comfortable,
Ooh.
but they look stupid.
I know.
They're
Those
very
are the 80s,
comfortable.
man.
They're very comfortable, but they look stupid.
Yeah.
But she said that Ricky deserved punishment because he was a bad kid, and this whole story was made up because he wanted to get back at her. Did he want to get back at her? Yeah, but he didn't make anything up.
Right.
Finally, the trial was over, and the verdicts were in. Take it, Paul.
Charge 1. Assault with a deadly weapon. Or I keep putting deadly in there.
I know.
But
This is
to
Canada.
me,
This is Canada.
Yeah. A.
Hey.
Assault with a weapon. Guilty. But the judge acquitted her of that charge. She paid him off.
Probably.
Sexual assault.
The judge was a female.
Really?
Yes. That's what makes it. No, but that's what makes it even crazier because women tend to be more nurturing to children when children are involved.
That seems very
So
way
she
way
probably
out of the ballpark.
So you might be onto something there when you say when you joked and said that she paid her off. You might be onto something there.
Yeah. Yeah. Sexual assault. Yeah. Sexual assault times 2. Aggravated assault.
Times 2.
Aggravated assault times 2. Counseling to commit
Indictable
offense times 2. And weapons dangerous times 1, which is possession of a weapon for dangerous purposes. Verdict, all guilty. The sentence, Rima got 4 months in jail. David got probation. 4 months. 4 months. Really?
Mm-hmm.
4 months. That's like what? Just basically barely enough time to breathe.
Yeah. Case worseners.
Uh-huh.
I mean that blew my fucking mind. Yeah, because when I do these things on cases I've never heard of, when I just say, "Hey, I'm going to buy a book," I don't read the book first. I just start.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to that, I was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I mean that's just that's just salt in the wound. That's a gut punch. That's a gut punch after the fact.
Vulgar. That's vulgar to the decency of what should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's horrible. I mean, really? But you know what? We can't sit here and blame Canada for over this because the fucking Gertrude Baniszewski case, she got off with a slap on the wrist too.
Yeah.
So I mean, this isn't just us saying, "Hey, what's wrong with Canada?" This is just us saying, "What the hell's wrong with the judicial system?" I mean, how could you see all the evidence? I mean, Ricky and Nate both showed the freaking scars in court.
Yeah, that's what's sick. That's what appears so vulgar to me. If I was God, I'd strike him dead.
I am not a happy camper right now.
Either.
I mean, I'm just like, damn. Yeah, I keep like watching myself on the screen and everything, and I've been accused of having this freaking look when I get like really mad, and I've got it. I've got it. Freaking there. So, I mean, nothing. There's nothing in the book, or it might be there. I don't know. By the time I got to this point in the notes, I was so freaking pissed off. I was just like, "Wah!" And I probably should have put a little more emphasis in what we're about to get to, because
Yeah.
it's about Nate's life. After the cult. And so I probably should have. And I recommend. Yeah, I'm gonna put the name of the book in the description and everything, so that you have it and get it. Read it. It's good. It's
If you're willing to take the time and digest.
It's not a long book. It's only like 100 pages.
Wow, yeah. But to digest the indecency and the inhumanity of
it's just,
of
but there's nothing. I didn't come across anything in there that as far as like saying what happened after the fact with Rima and David, or Sharon and Ralph. Oh, well, there's a little bit about Sharon coming up, but as far as the rest of them, I don't know. I'm assuming. Well, I'm using math. I'm saying that David and Rima are dead, but at least in 2019, Sharon was still alive. So, which we're going to get to that now, but there's probably like 4 or 5 pages in the book telling about all sorts of, basically telling about Nate's life afterwards, and I wanted to get more into it, but I couldn't take it anymore. I was just like, fucking done. And what we're about to go through isn't really any better.
No,
so it's just like I was, this episode broke me.
I hear you, man. I hear you. This is bar none. I mean, other than the up and coming Ant one, that is fucked up.
What, Willie Picton?
That too.
Which one are you talking about?
This one.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. I thought you were talking about like a different episode. I'm like,
no.
You have one that you want to do? I mean, if you got a Canadian case, hey, we're already at 5 stories. Let's go for 6 if you got one that you want to do too. Just not the Anthill Kids. That's what you were talking about. Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh boy. No, yeah, we're already at 5 episodes because you won't be here next week, and I'm not gonna start I'm not gonna split up a multi-part episode with different, with fill-ins.
Yeah. And you gotta keep a franchise.
Yeah, and honestly, I would not do, Matt from Murder Coaster. I did a 2-part episode with him, but that was when I didn't have a co-host. So other than that, it's just I'm not going to do a multi-part episode with anybody other than you.
Yeah, with a bunch of random people. Who's that?
One episodes, single episodes. Yeah, I'll do that with with a fill-in if need be. But I'm not doing a multi-part episode with a fill-in. That wouldn't be fair to you. So anyway, let's wrap this thing up. Never been so ready to wrap one up than I am with this one, because this is probably it's probably the worst one that we've done in 103 episodes. 104. This is episode 104.
104.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just...
You're like, are we there yet? Yeah. I keep looking at the page numbers. I'm going, fuck.
So, Nate died March 24th of 2019 at the age of 44 of pneumonia. He died in the arms of his third wife, a woman who he had met at Tim Hortons in 2014, and it was love at first sight. A girl that he had met when he was 13 and he had stayed friends with throughout his life said that he was unhappy most of the time, and that he had a hard time trusting anybody other than her.
Wow.
And later on, his third wife. He had two. Excuse me. He had two kids. I'm not sure which wife that they were with. I'm assuming that it was with one of the first two. But his first two marriages failed because, I mean, I have my own thoughts on that, which we won't get into.
Yeah.
But and it might be in there. But like I said, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
He had hard times. I mean, he bounced around through foster families until the last one, and that one he bonded with his foster father, and they were close for the rest of his life. He ran with gangs for a while, and he turned into a bit of a badass. And there was one time where he fought 6 guys and won. He became a biker. He loved heavy metal, and he had a bunch of tattoos. And this is in the Quebec. This happens in Quebec, so I'm kind of wondering if he was part of the biker war.
It makes you think, huh?
Because he would have joined up about toward the time that the ending of the biker war was taking place. So was he a Hell's Angel? Was he a bandito? Was he an outlaw? What's up? I don't know. I want to know, and it's just weird that that little detail shows up after we did the biker war episode.
Right.
So yeah, I want to get David Carter on here. So that's one of the questions that I will ask him.
Exactly.
Was he in any of the clubs that were involved in that?
Mm-hmm. During that time.
Yeah, because when he joined would have been toward the latter end of the biker war.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
But remember, he was adopted. In 2006, he made contact with his biological mother, and at this point, her mother, his biological mother had, I guess decided that she had time for him now. But they were close until she died in 2011. So it's just like, boom, he gets he gets close with his mom. That's a safe spot for him, and all of a sudden she dies. I mean, it's just on the night that he died, Sharon and Ralph showed up to see him. And
that's the last thing in the world that I want to see.
But here's a little bit of payoff. A little bit. Just a little bit of something to make you smile. Because his wife unloaded on them. She berated them for like 3 or 4 hours, screaming at them. And despite Sharon denying everything, I didn't do it. It didn't happen that way. I didn't do it. She's, this woman's like, bullshit. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
That's your son. You were responsible for his safety. You were responsible for his well-being. You did none of it. She told them everything that she needed to fucking hear. And then, I have to take some solace in the fact that excuse me. You get a little hoarse here. Usually don't rant this much in our episodes. but I have to take some solace in the fact that Nate's in there dying.
Yeah.
And his adopted parents are being read the riot act. Yeah, there's something morbidly satisfying about that.
Yeah. But and that's the thing too. On the flip side, I'm thinking of the nerve that they had. Nerve.
Just to even show up.
Yeah, it was almost like Rita had this. Like, oh, he's leaving the world. I gotta show him out with my.
No, Rima wasn't there. No. This was Sharon and Ralph, his adopted parents.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I got to be there.
I think that if Rima had showed up, he probably would have jumped out of his deathbed and strangled her.
Oh man, I would too. That would be the last freaking breath out of my mouth. I'd be like, or movement. It'd be like,
yeah.
Oh man.
yeah, I just, I just don't, the audacity of them to show up, after what they did or didn't do when the man's dying.
Yeah.
They caused they contributed to his early death, and it's just like, what the actual, it's just like, what did you expect would happen?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what did you expect would happen? Like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. Thanks for coming to see me see me off. Yeah, I hate them, but anyway, on the ultimately he had a horrible life, and he had just worn down and he couldn't take it anymore. So rest in peace, brother. You're still a survivor. Your kids are your legacy, and I hope that he and his biological mother are together in the afterlife, watching over his kids. As for Rima, David, Sharon, and Ralph, I don't know why the author chose to use fake names, but I hope they're freaking miserable. I mean, Rima and David are dead, but at the time we recorded this episode, like I said before, we're the only podcast that has ever covered this one, and I hope, like I said several times, I hope more podcasts cover it, and I hope that they too use these pukes' real fucking names, because these, Sharon and Ralph deserve to be exposed. They deserve to have people coming up to them and saying, "Yeah, you you're fucking assholes."
Yeah.
They freaking deserve it.
They're not human.
No,
They're
they're
not
not.
human. Period.
They're not. And to sit there and deny that it all happened while their son is on his deathbed, to sit there and deny that it happened while his wife was just reading them the riot act. They're more concerned with covering, with like maintaining that they didn't do anything wrong. Meanwhile, he's dying.
Yeah.
You know what they could have done? They could have just been like, you know what? It doesn't say what his wife's name was, but they could have just said, hey, you know what? We fucked up. We're sorry. We want to make peace with him. That's what they could have done. But instead, they're sitting there. Oh, we didn't do it. That's not how it happened. He lied. Fuck you.
The thing is I wouldn't even allowed them in the hospital.
Yeah, that too. But
if they would have checked in. Well, see, that's the thing is I don't know if his wife even suspected they were even coming.
Well, yeah, they probably didn't announce themselves. They probably didn't call ahead.
Yeah, we're family. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
We are
family.
We'll
go on up.
We abuse each other together.
Yeah, right.
God
but shoot, if I would, if I knew it, if I knew they were going to show, I would have told the hospital security and the nurses downstairs, the front desk, say, do not, these names, do not let them in.
Right. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm finished talking about it. This episode got to me in ways that none of our episodes ever have. So we're just gonna wrap it up. Follow us on socials, like, subscribe, review, and everything. Comment on Apple, comment on YouTube. Hook us up and everything. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, but I also hope you hated it.
Yeah, exactly.
And until next week, later
on.